Good morning, guys. Welcome back. Today I am going to be hand pollinating my squash and zucchini plants like the one behind me. Thought I would take you along, show you how simple this is, and explain to you why am I doing that anyway, right? So first things first, usually when you think of squash or zucchini, one of the first things you think of is it is very prolific. And, you know, it's kind of a joke, at least here in the South, of like, you know, just trying to give it away, blitzing your neighbors with zucchini and squash because you have so much. Everybody has too much, but you want to get rid of it. So sometimes that is true, but here recently, what I have found to be true, for me at least, is that squash and zucchini production seems to be down a little bit, and that is because there seems to be less pollinators. So I usually do a really good job of planting my pollinator friendly flowers out early so that those are blooming around the same time as things like my cucumbers, my squash, zucchini, and things like that. This year I did plant pollinator flowers, but they did not, a lot of them didn't come up. Some of it was seed that I had saved. So I don't know if something went wrong with my seed saving. Maybe it got moisture in with those seeds, or if birds came behind me and ate a lot of the seed. One way or the other, I didn't have, and I don't have, a lot of pollinator friendly flowers to bring in the pollinators this time around. So my garden seems to be struggling with pollinators. I do have some. We do have honeybees around, and a few of them. Occasionally a few butterflies, but just not like what I have had in the past. So less pollinators is going to mean less fruit that is going to set on your squash, zucchini, cucumbers, things like that, because these are plants that do have male flowers and female flowers, and they need the help of a pollinator to set fruit. Okay, and so since I'm not seeing a lot of pollinators out, and the secondary reason being around here it gets hot and humid, and squash and zucchini plants, they just don't hold up long for me. Actually, I already have a second round planted, and I'll do a third round of planting, because here, no matter what you do, especially if you're trying to do organically, they just don't hold up long before they get pest and mildew and blight, especially things of that nature, take hold. It's just hard to keep them healthy when it's this hot and humid here in our area, okay? So because I'm really wanting to get a lot of fruit as soon as possible before these plants come under any more pressure, I want to help them along so that they can get the max amount of fruiting as possible. And to do that, I'm going to hand pollinate them. This is super easy. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I want to show you how first to identify male flowers and female flowers, and then I'll show you how easy it is to take the male flower and pollinate the female flower. Okay guys, so here's a little further away view of where I'm working at, and this is a bed that has bush beans all around the edges. It has several zucchini plants planted, and then in the middle are pole beans, and then I think there may even be a cucumber plant in with that as well. So this is what I'm working with. As you can tell, it is very full, and that may be adding to the issue of the pollinators finding the flowers. I'm not really for sure that is the case or not. I think we just have less pollinators for whatever reason this year than usual. So, but this is where I'm working at. This is mainly zucchini in this bed. As you can tell, bush beans are getting nice here. The bush beans, as they start to put on all of these beans, it starts to weigh them down. They fall over the edges of my bed, and that actually does open up this area to my zucchini plants again. So here's our zucchini plants, and I'm going to take you in closely, and I'm going to show you how to identify the difference between a male flower and a female flower, okay? So obviously we know what it looks like whenever your zucchini is growing here, and that has obviously already been pollinated. Whenever we are looking for a bloom, to identify if it is a male or female. When we look right here, this one hasn't opened yet. This is a straight stem. That is a male flower. And this one right here, that is a straight stem. That's going to be a male flower, okay? So let's go around and we'll see if we can find a female flower to show you the difference. Okay, so I showed you what the male flower looks like. Here's another example of it right here. Ooh, let's move this bloom. Here's another example of a male flower. We are straight all the way up to the flower blooming. And then here we have an immature little fruit. You can tell it literally looks like a baby zucchini. This is the female flower, okay? So this is the female flower. It's going to have an immature little fruit on it, okay? So inside of this flower, which it's about 10 o'clock in the morning, they're already starting to close up for the day. We're going to open it up and you can see here what the inside of the female flower looks like. So we can get the lighting to work for us here. Okay. And that's where we're going to be adding the pollen to. Okay, I wanted to show you here is another, that is a female flower. It's not opened yet, but that will be a female flower. You can tell it just looks like a teeny tiny baby zucchini is at the end of the blossom, okay? Okay, so to begin hand pollinating, the first thing I'm going to do is find a male flower, which this is. I want to just pop it off. And then I'm going to take off the outside petals. So just want to show you here, I'm peeling back the outer petals and so that we can have the inner part here. And the pollen is on this, and we're going to use this like a little paintbrush, and we are going to dab this onto the inside of the female flowers to pollinate them. Okay guys, so here I have peeled off the outer petals of the squash bloom so that the stamen is exposed. And you'll see there's pollen all inside of there. You can see that. That is what we are going to be pollinating the inside of the female flower with. And so we're going to take this over. We're going to use the stamen as like a little paintbrush inside of the female flower. And that is how we are going to hand pollinate. Okay guys, so here is our female flower, okay? And that is the stigma that is inside of it right there. Okay, that is the stigma. And we are going to be using the stamen of our male flower to pollinate the female flower. So I'm going to be taking this and be rubbing it all around in there. Okay, I'm just going to be doing the part that a bee would do when a bee crawls all around in here. And then our female fruit has now been pollinated. If you wanted to, you could take a tiny little string, you could tie that up so that you know that that one has already been pollinated. I'm just going to close it back up here, and that should help this produce a nice healthy fruit here in a few days. Something else you may notice when you are looking for male flowers and female flowers on your plant is that you are typically going to see a lot more male flowers than female flowers. These male flowers usually appear first, and that's so that they are open longer, gives the pollinators plenty of time to get the pollen, and that usually happens before the female parts open. And so don't be surprised and don't be worried if you notice that you have a lot more male flowers. Like here's a male flower, male flower, male flower. If you are noticing a lot more male flowers than female flowers, especially in the beginning of the production of your plant, that is normal. Okay, so I still have lots of pollen actually left in here. I can see lots of pollen on there. So I'm going to use this for a few more flowers. I'm going to make sure that this is a zucchini. I'm going to make sure I'm only pollinating zucchini plants with this, because I do have squash plants interplanted around in the, maybe one in this bed, but definitely in the other bed. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm definitely pollinating zucchini with my zucchini pollen, because we don't want any cross-pollination happening here. So I'm going to go around, find some more female flowers, and use up this flower, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I also just want to take a second and show you what a female squash bloom looks like. And just like how the zucchini was, you're going to find tiny little immature squash, and at the end of that squash is going to be a bloom. That's going to be the female. And just like how the zucchini was, you're going to have a straight stem for the male blossom. And here are some really little female immature blooms here. You can see the tiny little immature squashes just beginning to form at the end here as well. The same method can also be used with your cucumber plants, so I thought I'd just go ahead and show you how to hand pollinate your cucumbers as well, to do the pollination with these, because the flowers, the blooms are much smaller. I'm actually going to be using a little paintbrush, so I will show you how easy it is also to identify the male and female flowers of our cucumber plants, and I'll show you how easy it is to hand pollinate those for increased yield. A few days ago when I came out here, there were hardly any female blooms. It's only been a few days and all of our female blooms have arrived. Once again, if you're not seeing female blooms, don't worry, they usually just come along a few days after all of your males start to bloom. And so I will show you, here is what the female cucumber bloom looks like right here. Okay, so you see a teeny tiny little mini cucumber. At the end of that is a flower, that is the female flower. And then as we look around here, like right here, we're going to see a bloom that is not attached to any type of fruit, and so that is the male. And so I'm just going to take my little paintbrush here, and I'm just going to dab inside of there and get all of that pollen onto my paintbrush. And then I'm going to move it over to my female fruit, and I'm just going to add my pollen all around on that. And that is how simple it is to hand pollinate your cucumbers as well. Okay guys, so that is how simple it is to hand pollinate your zucchini, to take it from this to this, and your cucumbers as well, your squash. You could do this with pumpkins and other anything in that family. So if you are experiencing low fruit yield, you may want to give this a try. If you are growing underneath any type of cover, you will definitely have to use this method in order to produce fruit. If you don't have any pollinators in like a greenhouse or under row covers, you're definitely going to have to master hand pollinating yourself. So this is what I'm doing to increase my yields early on. Maybe this has helped some of you out. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos coming soon. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you have a blessed day.